Okay, Gady, just say something real quick.
Hello.
Okay, and I am going to do this.
Viewer beware, you're in for a scare.
Very spooky. Okay, so it is officially the Halloween Sandcast. It's Halloween, everybody, which means we get to talk about spookier topics, right? Uh, and I got a guy who has questions for me on Discord. Anyways, it's me, your host, Sand, and we got Gaddy in here. Hello there, Gaddy.
Hello.
And we'll be talking about a couple of things. What I wanted to start off with is just kind of like the Halloween vibe, and what I consider to be my favorite spooky movie is The Thing by John Carpenter. You ever see that, Gaddy?
No, I saw the new version that's like set in Antarctica. I didn't really like it, so I
No,
think I'm gonna watch John Carpenter's because I love his music because it's very influential.
his
But yeah,
music or movies? He's got music.
yeah, music.
Oh, okay.
He
Um,
he makes his own music for his movies.
mm,
Yeah,
did,
guy's a badass. I love him.
okay, that's cool. Um,
Dark Star is better. That's my favorite one.
okay. So, by viewer request, actually. I just want to highlight I am on the right side of the screen there, so anytime you see a little green ring around my name, that means I'm speaking, and Gaddy's going to be on the left. I might do some editing to clear that up, but I'm probably not going to. Okay, so anyways, The Thing by John Carpenter. Are you familiar, kind of like what it's about? I don't know
Yeah.
really how well the new movie does it, and I kind of don't want to watch it because I've just heard not good things about that movie. But right,
Well, just from a technical standpoint, they use practical effects, so I give props to that.
oh yeah,
But
they
yeah,
beat the hell out of practical effects on the original. But is are you talking about the new one?
yep, yeah, the new one.
Okay, that's good that they stuck kind of with the practical effects. But
Yeah. So, um, the narrative is like, um, something pretends to be human, then starts swallowing people, and it turns into something very much not human. And yeah, I don't remember much, but I think I'm familiar with the idea. It's like a blob of mush people that eats other people, right?
I mean, like sort of. Sort of. Actually, there's this guy Implement. He makes YouTube videos, and he made a very good video on the thing. I'll send that to you after this. But it's basically he just kind of describes like the context of the thing, the cultural context, and like what it's about, and like the themes of it. If the, I mean, yeah, that's what the movie is in essence about, but like it goes a little bit deeper into it because like the movie's kind of like a product of its time, 1980s, and the whole idea is like
Yeah.
the social paranoia, like like mutually assured destruction and all that stuff. Like
Oh, okay.
because like at the end of the day, like the thing is able to destroy everything, and so like the McCready, the main character, he's played by not Kurt Russell. Kurt Russell?
I don't know.
Is Kurt Russell the guy who played in Escape from New York? I am drawing a blank here. I think
I'm
that's
not sure.
I think that's Kurt Russell. In fact, I'll type that up. Kurt Russell. Yes, it is Kurt Russell. Basically, Kurt Russell, he's the lead, and the reason he becomes like the de facto leader of like the thing stopping, like of the people is because not because he's like the most righteous. He's not. He murders a man in cold blood. It's not because like he's a good guy or has higher morals or because he's like machismo or he's like super smart. It's none of those reasons. The reason he comes out on the top is because he's paranoid and doesn't trust anybody else. So there's this dude, he's basically just like this paranoid dude who's on the Antarctic base and he doesn't give a fuck about anybody else. He'll shoot you straight up just for like potentially being the thing, right? So and the themes of the movie are just like social paranoia, trying to figure out like you'd think that the people would get together and like create a group to stop the thing, but that's what the thing would want you to do. No, you have to stop it by burning everybody.
Yeah, the can is can it edit. Dog eats dog. That's how it works when shit hits a fan for real.
And that's kind of like what it talks about, and we can segue this actually perfectly into the collapse of society. But first, I want to keep talking about the thing, and some of the other stuff about it. Like the practical effects are amazing in that movie. The dude who did the practical effects, what was his name? He's talked about in that video I mentioned earlier. The guy, he worked for like a year and a half on the practical effects. Most of the budget went into those effects, and it kind of actually it almost detracts from the movie, but it doesn't because of how good they are. The idea being that let me just pull it up. Yeah, the music was by Ennio Morricone, by the way. I didn't know that.
Oh, okay. Well, I know in Darkstar and a few other John Carpenter movies, he made his own music with synths. Because he's a synth legend.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't know about the thing, but yeah, makes sense though.
Yeah.
It was a big budget movie. Like, it was pretty, what do you say? Like, it had an impact on, like, culture. So yeah, it makes sense that they would have hired Ennio Morricone.
But I was going to say that what was it? The practical effects, like the dude who was doing them actually ended up being not hospitalized, but he like like those Koreans that will like sit for hours on end playing video games and then they like not have a stroke, but they like go unconscious, like they collapse from exhaustion because they've been doing it too much. Like that
Or
happened.
dehydration. Yeah.
Yeah, that happened to him. I don't think it was dehydration, but
But yeah, it's fatigue. Yeah, I understand. That's crazy though. That's dedication. That's crazy.
yeah, that is absolute dedication. And actually, if you want to chuck on some John Carpenter music and bot spamming, feel free to.
It's pretty rough.
Oh,
It's
well
not
then,
that enjoyable.
then let me think. What can we put on?
Well, we can put some spooky synthwave on, if you like, because it's in the same vein, but just easier to listen to.
I don't remember what I was listening to earlier today or yesterday. I think I had something that I was listening to. Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna put on some Radiohead. I don't care if this thing gets monetized or not.
Go ahead. What's the most Halloweeny Radiohead song you know?
Oh God, that wouldn't be this song.
Put it on.
I don't know. Probably "Burn the Witch" or something else from a Moon-Shaped Pool. That's not. That's not Radiohead. Burn the Witch. That one is Radiohead. There we go. But it's not really Halloweeny. This is actually probably the most positive song off the album. But just
Well, it's thematic because
yeah.
which.
Yes, of course. But anyways, yeah, the movie's great. I would recommend watching it if you want to watch it sometimes.
Sure.
Tomorrow, I wouldn't mind sitting down and doing that. I need to get around to watching it again. I think I haven't watched it since last Halloween, actually. But it's a good movie, and it's kind of like got that underlying tone of like societal collapse. Like if society collapses, like it's going to be full of that kind of shit, right? It's going to be
Yep.
filled with paranoid people, ready to gun you
Well,
down for.
you can't trust anyone. This is why I said earlier, like, this is why I don't think anarchism works. The state allows you to be tranquil, to know that you can rely on it if you need it. Well, maybe not entirely rely on it, but if something happens, you can have the tranquility, the peace of mind to let you live comfortably. When that kind of thing happens, when society collapses, you just don't have that. Like, your quality of life goes way down because of that reason. Like, this has happened already in several other countries, like where anarchism has actually been implemented, not from the will of the people, but just from the circumstances.
Yeah.
So it's not a good thing. It's absolutely not a good thing.
Yeah, but people like they kind of want that whole they like the aesthetic of being able to
Yeah,
it's
freedom.
it's very similar to like what Ted Kaczynski is talking about in Industrial Society and its Future, which I've been reading, by the way, since the last podcast. I picked it up
Have
from
you have you
Amazon.
gone insane yet? Have you gone insane yet?
No, but I'm pretty close.
Are you gonna start building pipe bombs anytime soon? Should I be
Start
worried?
building. I more like end building because I've already started. Disclaimer: no, I am not building any pipe bombs in my garage. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Or maybe
dear
fortunately.
dear FBI agents, all of my posts are serious and I am a threat to society.
Please arrest me.
Come arrest me right fucking now.
Um, but no, Ted Kaczynski, like, he makes a very good case for anarchy. Well, not really anarchy, more like a return to tribal slash village society, like the small community, because like
Okay,
every
how would you protect your small tribe from others? How would you do that?
by being bigger
If
and
a bigger,
stronger than the other ones.
wouldn't that bring you back to the state idea though? That's
um,
how it started,
I
man.
know,
That's how states
and
were
it's
born.
like it. That's one of the key flaws that I find with his thesis is like eventually it all reverts back to like building
Yeah.
the state and society again. But his
Think about Romans. Think about Romans. Rome was a city state. It was a tribe before then, but they knew they had to grow, so they grew, and grew and grew and grew and grew, and look where they are, where we are now. We are the echoes of Rome. Like it or not, it's just what it is. It's just how it happened. So like
well, I
tribes
get that.
diversify
I
over
get
time.
that, but it's more the like I don't agree with like what his end state is going to be because I don't think
Yeah,
we can ever achieve that end state. Like we've gone too far. It will like he proposes that like we or not we because I'm not part of the Freedom Collective, but people should.
oh, you were saying we? What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Uh, I'm not part of the Freedom Collective, I swear, guys, okay? I don't have any
Yes,
pipe bombs in my garage. I don't
I
plan on.
legally have to testify that I'm not part of it.
Okay, but that being said, um, Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, he actually like he makes like a grand case for like we basically just like willingly eroded our freedoms through the usage of technology and the
Sure.
advancement of society. Like
Well,
you,
he wasn't the first to write that.
I know
Noam
he's not.
Chomsky wrote the same thing.
I
Manufacturing of consent. Yeah.
um what was it? But he is the one who managed to bring it to the public foresight by
Sure.
bombing things. But I know he's not the first one to write that, and he won't be the last for sure.
Yep.
But I will say he is God, I just
Sure
lost my
got people's attention.
yeah,
Sure got yours.
yeah, I know. Like, I wouldn't be reading about it if he didn't bomb a school slash airport slash whatever.
I mean, just the idea that someone so bright could do that just makes you think, right? It makes you want to know more about it. At least that's the case with me, and I think other people as well.
Oh, dog is just hopping into the room. Let me go close the door. But you continue on with
Okay.
that thread of thonking.
So, I don't think there's gonna be many more people like him. I don't hope for them, but I think was a wake up call for society in general.
Okay.
Like,
One moment.
okay,
Actually,
what does it mean for us? Sure.
we actually have a potential surprise guest. Give me a moment.
Ooh.
We got Whinis from the Dust
Whinis
Discord.
penis. It's Whinis penis.
But yeah, while I wait for his response, we got. Sorry, my brain is just off today. I woke up like from a pretty long nap recently, so.
You sure you didn't just nuke your GABA receptors with the booze you're drinking?
No, I'm drinking sweet tea right now.
Okay.
I dumped out my drink, so.
Oh no, that's heresy, man.
Hey, it was just some like cheap Smirnoff. I don't care.
Okay.
It was
You
just
poured one out for the homies.
Yeah, I poured one out for my boy Ted Kaczynski. Freedom. But no, so like, but I don't agree with the ends. I don't think it's possible to revert back to Monkey effectively. Like we're too smart.
It's not.
We're too smart for that, and like
It's not just that.
it
It's that
would have to be written into the societal laws, like the only communities have to be like of a certain size, and then like now you're getting into like whole.
You would need authority. You would need a bigger authority to maintain that.
Yeah,
And that's where the bullshit comes in. It's like,
but-
how are you gonna do that if
but
you're
I
calling
agree
for
with his-
no
I
authority?
agree with like everything leading up to his conclusions. Oh, hey there, Whinis.
Yeah.
You just jumped in.
Hello.
We're talking about the Unabomber right now. We just got off of The Thing by John Carpenter, some spooky stuff there, and now we're moving into like Ted Kaczynski, and we're just talking about
Equally
like, his,
spooky.
yeah, talking about his central thesis and the stuff that he was like advocating in his manifesto, Industrial Society and its Future. If you want to hop in at any point, like feel free to just. Give me a moment. I was on a point there. Yeah, but like I agree with kind of like his central thesis in that like society kind of has gone a little far in its usage of like, and it's only going to get worse. Like freedom is not going to stay like as it is. Society only expands at the contraction of freedom. Like you can't have it. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Like anytime
There's too many. There's so much freedom you can have. It's like the more people, the less for each. That's how it is. You can't make new freedoms. It's not how it works.
And
Not like you
society
can
is
grow food.
always going to be like gnawing at the edges of freedom too. Like he mentions like genetic engineering, like it, and it's always because like society dictates that it needs something like it's always going to make the rules. Like it can only take away freedoms. It can't make more of them without contracting itself. Like you cannot get your right to locomotion back without society breaking down all of its roads. And society will not break down its roads because it's too damn important for society to function. Ergo,
locomotion though.
One moment. Let me
Oh,
turn
yeah,
you down.
I know how I would do that. Just get a heavy hammer and just break my femurs. There, no more locomotion. Problem solved.
That's a solution in and of itself, right? But yeah, it's terrible that society does that, and I yearn for the days of a little more freedom, but it's only going to get worse until space travel gets invented. Like once effective space faring and us being able to get into the stars, like then will we see
I'm not
like
so sure. I'm not so sure. You know Warhammer 40K.
yes.
No, for real. I genuinely believe that the future is going to be like that. Like it's not a joke. Like the future, I think, is going to be dark like that.
Grimdark.
Like absolutely like expo. Well, there's a lot of beauty and stuff in the Warhammer universe, but the condition of man in the future, I think, is going to be a lot closer to that. It's like when
Um,
you have so many people, the value of each individual life becomes so little
yeah, but the
that
problem, the thing about Warhammer 40K is that they're constantly fighting against like a greater evil,
well,
right?
yeah,
And so
but
like the
I'm
reason,
talking about the condition of the human life,
well,
not the actual narrative of the
sort,
fights of the
so
yeah.
sort of, but like the value of human life in that universe is kind of it's
Yeah,
so
worth only
small.
against the fight.
It's so small because of the fight. Like they have to continue continue training and
Yeah,
creating more people in order to fight with them. And also like the way Warhammer 40K is portrayed as grimdark really only applies to like hive worlds, not so
sure,
much like as
sure.
aggro worlds because in
No,
that
no, I agree, I agree. But
DK.
just
oh
this.
Whinis, as you were saying.
Yeah, so yeah, the main part of 40K is also like you're following the soldiers that live on for possibly thousands of years in the first place due to
Yeah,
genetic engineering. There's a few books on like average citizen life, but like a large portion of it is look at all these super soldiers and all how long they live and how much damage they can do and like
yeah,
so far extracted from anything we could apply to normal society.
Yeah.
yeah. I find it much more interesting to think about the daily life of a commoner in the Warhammer universe than some giant fucking soldier. I don't think that's very interesting because it's obvious how a soldier would live like that for thousands of years. I don't know. I think so anyway. But just the consequences of such massive growth, I think, are just at least important to think about. Like, do we really want to grow and grow and grow forever? But I don't think we have a choice, right? Because we're part of life. That's the rhythm of life. It's exponential growth. I don't think we can put a stop to it, even if we wanted to.
Not
It's
all
just
life
like
is exponential.
I think we are. Like at some point during our evolution, maybe when we were kicked out of the primordial jungle from our last common ancestor with chimps and gorillas, something happened. I'm not saying it's aliens, not saying it's gods, but something happened within us that let our growth factor, because you can you can
So
model population growth with the logistic map. So the example of the logistic map, I think something happened, and the factor for growth for us hit a chaotic point. So we're just growing and growing because it's like we're fertile enough and smart enough to let us ourselves grow exponentially.
Yes, up to a certain point, though. I think that we can, like, unless we have like more room to grow out. So taking into
Yeah,
mind like
space,
the space,
space.
like if
We need space.
once we get the space to do it, we will continue to grow. But like we're still constrained by the fact that we're
Sure,
living on
sure.
this dumpster fire of an Earth right now.
Yeah, but the
Winnis, you
fact
were
is, we've dominated it. The fact that we're dominating it shows how massive our influence. Okay, we're starting to become a type zero civilization. We're starting to affect the whole planet. Global warming is proof of this. We're starting to have, via many generations, we managed to have an effect on the planet itself, not just an ecosystem, not just a localized region, the whole planet we now have influence over. And that's fascinating, but also incredibly worrying. Because, okay, we're smart monkeys, right?
monkey.
We're smart societies, but I don't think we're conscious societies. Because there's a difference between intelligence and consciousness. I'll make you the example of the cerebellum. You know, like where your the back of your skull, where the neck connects up to the
Yeah,
skull.
yeah. The
Just up there's a cerebellum. The cerebellum is one of the oldest parts of the brain.
it's the
It's
monkey
more
part of the
yeah.
brain. Yes, I'm
It's not monkey. It's the reptile part. The thing is, it's incredibly intelligent because that's where motion comes from, basically. Motion output from the
That's
brain.
that's very, very reductionist on
Sure.
how that area of the brain works.
Okay, but the point is, it's intelligent. It's smart. It knows how to do things. But guess what? I can take it out and you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be
No,
conscious.
no, you're not. You
No,
won't be conscious. It's
yeah,
without your cerebellum, you
without that
have
you die.
no muscle control, you have no heart, you have no lungs,
you
you don't
can
even
you
have
can
any
adapt.
blood pressure.
No,
No,
there's
no, you
people
can't.
without it. There's people
No,
without it that live just
there.
fine. They have motor issues, sure, but they live just
No,
fine,
I
and they're
don't think
still
there's anybody
conscious.
without a
I don't
cerebellum.
think that's the cerebellum. You might be thinking of the cerebrum.
Yes.
Even then,
Okay.
like a
I'm sorry.
full removal of a cerebrum would be like.
But the point is,
The-
you would be relegated to a bed, but you would still be conscious. You would still
Uh,
be there to see it.
you would be on permanent life support, such
Sure.
that even your eyes wouldn't work. So
Okay,
even
but
if
you would
you're
still have
arguing
a
you're
consciousness.
conscious,
But
and I
consciousness is
find that
crucial.
difficult to believe, and it's something that we cannot prove.
Okay. Okay, I agree with that. But the point is, consciousness is important for being
I think a
being an
better
actor,
analogy
right?
would be like.
Having causal influence over the world. Go ahead.
I think a better analogy would be to like compare a human to I don't know, some like obviously intelligent creature like a raven or a dolphin.
Yeah.
But not aware enough of its surroundings to be able
Yes.
to manipulate
Yes.
the stuff around them. Like when
Yeah.
we're talking about animals, most of them don't look to manipulate the world beyond just getting food and surviving. But like when you compare it to humans like look at the world and we say, okay, I'm going to change my environment. Like animals are not going to go out of their way to change their environment to fit their
Yep.
needs. They'll just fill their needs. Humans will look around them, see that their environment is shit, and make a new environment out of what they have in front of them.
But that's the individual or the small collective. My point is,
The
I think
Gestalt.
as a society, we should, yes, the Gestalt, we should start to think about it. We should start to understand that maybe consciousness can emerge from higher organized
I don't
form
know,
of
man.
information, like a society. No, hear me out. Because like the point is, we can be intelligent as a society, but we wouldn't be conscious. Like consciousness is crucial for agency. It's important because that's why we have
But
it.
that agency
That's why we
comes at the
develop
cost.
it so
That
much.
agency comes at the cost of individual agency, my dude.
Yes. So the thing is, I don't think societies have that yet.
I don't
So
think societies
imagine.
can.
We should discuss it. The fact that we're discussing it shows that maybe something like it is happening. Maybe not in this case because we're just three people, but if we bring more awareness to the global collective of consciousness, the Gestalt, things happen. Ideas come into
don't
people's head.
I don't see it as possible because we don't even understand how consciousness works on an individual
Sure.
level. We
Sure.
can't prove
We can still
what
work
does
with
and
it.
does not have consciousness because one of our early definitions of consciousness was that recognize self in mirror.
Yeah.
And we found that even ants recognize themselves in the mirror, even if a whole multitude of other animals don't. And there's
Yep.
no question that ants don't have consciousness.
Well, they're very collective, though. That's the point.
But
Ants
an
are the least individualists.
an individual
Yeah.
ant will recognize
Yeah.
something on itself in a mirror.
Sure. Well, consciousness is not about behavior because collectivism, like ants have it, is just behavior. Consciousness is just a tool. That's my point.
Well,
It's just a tool.
that's my point. Is consciousness originally was derived as self-thought, the ability
Yeah.
to see oneself, which is the reason the mirror was so important.
Okay.
It was the
So-
understanding that what you're looking at is not something else, but it is you.
Yeah, it's you. Yes. So that's what I mean by saying that society should be more conscious of itself. We should be thinking as a society about what society really is. Its goals, its like reaches. I don't think we do.
What
I
if
don't
it's
think we
too?
do that enough.
But the thing is, what if the answer is scarier than we want it to be, right? So we have that discussion, and then we realize society's goals comes at the cost of lobotomizing every human being on Earth. For example, not saying not saying that's like.
So,
Not
the
saying
funny
that,
thing you speak about that is that's the joke of a lot of science fiction novels in regards to AI, which is if AI follow the laws of uh
Robotics,
yeah, the
Asimov.
law of robotics to a fault. Literally follow them to a fault. The only way to actually follow them is to basically lobotomize every human so that they cannot harm themselves.
I think I
Yeah,
actually had a
yeah.
comic about this.
Well,
Let's see if I
you
can
know
find
the
it.
laws of robotics are like impossible to actually implement,
Well,
right?
yeah, no, that was the joke for them.
Okay.
It's like if you want to make a safe robot,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
impossible because it's
It's
self-contradictory.
impossible. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like we have want to exert control. Well, okay. First off, I think a singularity is inevitable. We are going to make consciousness, maybe without understanding what it really is. I think we're going to do it. I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's like
Possibly, but so there's two sides of this. I think it's certainly possible, but we don't even understand what it is in the first place, so we wouldn't even recognize it whenever it happens. So that's one
yes,
side of it. The other side of it is I think quite far too many people assume that computers are significantly smarter than they are, even AI,
yeah,
to the point that people think both automation and AI is going to remove all the jobs without realizing that it's still really really basic, and
yeah,
we
yeah,
can
yeah.
we
I
can do
agree with
some
that,
things with it, and we can get smart with it, and it can do some things better than us,
but
but
not
it is
everything.
far from
Yeah,
consciousness.
no, I agree. I mean, we're regarding even like neuroscience. Like we think we know a lot about the brain. We know fuck all about the brain right
Oh,
now.
we know fuck all
It's
about the
just
brain.
mind numbing. It's mind numbing how little we know about the brain. It's just wow. But like how much little like how little we know has brought us far away. So the point is, I don't I can't imagine where we would be if we knew everything now. I don't think we'd be ready for it. I don't think we're responsible enough as a species for it. Maybe we're paying the consequences, and I think I'm agreeing a little bit with my boy Ted over here. Like, yeah, no, for real. I don't think humans are responsible enough.
I disagree very heavily with that, because
Elaborate, please.
what was said earlier is we only accelerate at the loss of freedoms, but it's kind of the opposite. We accelerate and then restrict our freedoms because of the direction we're accelerating in. At the advancement of industry and like factory farming and everything, we
Sure.
suddenly could explode the amount of food we were making, and then we reeled it back in because we were like, all right, this is kind of horrible.
Yeah.
So it's more we have an explosion and then reel back in some freedoms.
But this is how we work. We do something stupid, we do a mistake, and we look back,
But
and
it's
we
not
know.
even necessarily a mistake. For instance, the internet. The internet is one of the most glorious expansions of just consciousness,
Yeah, I
for
agree
lack of
with
a
you.
better word,
It's
of the entire human race. It is a collective memory that everybody can access simultaneously, and
yeah. I agree.
like for the longest of time, it's been
It was pretty
essentially lawless.
unregulated up to a point.
Yep.
I think it was like the early 2000s we started to see like
Oh, it wasn't even until late 2000s. Like we had laws, but it was still incredibly lawless. Like
yeah, people didn't
the laws were
understand.
there, but nobody knew how to enforce it or do anything with it. Like,
Yeah, because it's a different nature. It's a different paradigm for like
I mean, yeah, the internet
digital reality. Because
new freedoms as a result of its
yeah,
like just
but
inception, but
you know, like about the nature of copying data. Like when you copy a file, it's the same thing. It's just Like you can't do the same. Like even with quantum information, you cannot copy quantum information. A quantum qubit, a qubit is a qubit. You cannot copy it. You cannot have two identical qubits. But you can have that with bits, with binaries. So it's a different world. It's a world that allows you to
You
have like
can
so
have
many copies of the
you
same
can't have
thing.
two qubits because it's a physical thing.
Yeah,
We can
it's
have
not digital.
digital copies of things because it's abstracted.
Yes.
The same way you can have two of the same equation because it's on paper. You can have two of the same
Yeah.
book as long as you consider the book the words in the book. So
Yeah. Yeah.
like we can have copies of abstract ideas, we can't have copies of physical things.
Sure.
Oh, you know what? I was going to ask actually, Whinis. We never actually gave you a proper introduction, so I'd like to do that real quick while we have a little pause in our discussion here. So just tell us maybe a 2-sentence blurb about yourself. Or 3 sentences.
All right. I'm a man in his 20s who's currently in pharmacology school. I've done numerous programming experiments, electrical engineering. I'm currently studying spinal regeneration. And I played this horrible game called Dust 514.
A long time ago, yeah. Didn't we all? Um, spinal regeneration. So a lot of work with, like, I'm guessing zebra turkey fish.
Currently it's actually with mice.
Oh, with mice.
And actually I'm at the stage right before that, like I'm still doing a lot of stuff with mice, but I'm kind of working on the actual protein that we think might be inhibiting a lot of the issues.
Mm.
So I'm trying to inhibit this inhibitor.
Oh. Well, that must be a very fun problem, but I have no idea about how to do any of that. My background is computer science strictly, so I do programming stuff, but that's it.
You'd be surprised how close it can be.
I'm sure there's some stuff that I'd be able to like read and understand, but like for the most part, I wouldn't be able to experiment on mice nearly as effectively as Whinis here. My ability to experiment on mice is very limited. Sorry, but
Well, you know the first step, just get a few mice, start giving them shit, and that's it.
well, except we we genetically predispose mice to like be cancerous tumor blobs by year 3. So,
Oh, it all depends on the mice.
yeah.
Hey,
Um,
Whinis, you know about like the oh god, what's his name? Brett Weinstein's work with mice, like laboratory mice, and their telomeres, right?
oh God, not telomeres.
He doesn't want. He
You know
doesn't want
about
to
the
talk
thing, then.
about telomeres. He wants to talk about the collapse of society, my dude.
Okay,
It's
you want
not
to go
just
back
that.
to that?
It's there is so much research on telomeres and DNA damage and what's happening with that, and there is any number of mutations you can give mice, including giving them telomerase. But the thing is if you artificially limit their telomerases so that or their telomeres,
Yeah.
it doesn't impact their life. If you artificially extend them, it doesn't increase their life. But then if you extend them and then chop them down, it doesn't then decrease their lifespan. So there's this weird mechanism there that we don't entirely understand.
Like, oh wow,
Oh my god.
that's crazy. Well, I'll have to do more research about it because it's fascinating.
Keep talking about stuff. I would segue this into. Let me.
We can keep talking about the collapse of society if you want,
Or
or
the
just
lack
go
thereof.
back to,
yeah, the lack
or to
thereof.
talk up. Yeah, it's interesting to talk about the possibility anyway.
But I have to
Or
go
we can.
check the door because Halloween trick or treaters are coming by. So keep talking.
Oh,
I'll be right back. Okay.
All right.
well, I wanted to talk about Halloween as the fear of death because I think people should stop fearing death so much. What do you think about that?
I think people should stop fearing death. I think death is an inherent fear in a very deep part of our psyche, and just about every animal in some way fears death.
Because
So
it's the opposite of its evolutionary programming, right? To survive, to not die.
partially that, but partially on the other side is it's the great unknown. Like, we can eventually go out into space. We can learn about space. We can learn about the micro stuff.
Yep.
We can, like, there's a whole world of information we know we don't know. But
Sure.
what happens
Yeah,
after
what we
death?
know, what we don't know, we don't know. Yeah.
Well, it's not even what we don't know. We don't know. It's there's there's the known knowns, the known
Known
unknowns,
unknowns
and
and
the
the unknown
unknown
unknowns.
knowns.
Yep.
Right.
So,
But the thing is I would like to add, as far as death is concerned, at least a fourth one, which is unknowns we know we cannot know.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, I agree with you.
without some weird, like, actual God coming down and being, this is what happens after death.
Well,
Or
okay, you
some
don't
other
believe in
metaphysical,
gnosis.
some other metaphysical, like, magic that allows you actual resurrection, or the development, like the discovery of legitimate souls, or anything in that scale. There is no way to know what happens after someone dies.
yeah, barring
Well,
like some
no
ridiculous
scientifically. No through an objective mean. Because that's what you're saying.
Yeah, not until we figure out some like revolutionary, wonky, like magic bullshit that manages
Yeah,
to
well,
like.
you can go ahead and call me a schizo if you want, but I do believe in gnosis. I think there is such a thing. I think spirituality is knowable. It's something you can know, just not scientifically.
Well, that's the thing.
That's
We're talking
that's
about
where I lose you, I
science.
guess. Yep.
If you know yourself, then that you don't have proof and you can't present proof. So
Yeah.
you
But that's why it's
that's not a
subjective.
knowing.
That's why it's subjective. My point is, though, you can't look at subjective effects and see similarities, see where they overlap. And there might be a lot of reasons for why or how they overlap, but I think it's important still to talk about them. Well, this is where I'm focusing my studying really, like the documentation of subjective effects, which is a fascinating topic. But yeah, I mean, it's not scientific. It's sort of gnostic in some way because it's like you're relying on someone's subjective experience about something. But I don't know. I don't really believe in objectivity, in pure objectivity. Because at the end, any form of objectivity becomes subjective when you read it, when you know it. That's how it works.
No, there is definitely some very, very objective things, like math. Math is objective.
Sure, sure.
It is, everybody can get the same stuff every single time,
But remember,
regardless of the crazies that think you can somehow redefine 2 plus 2 for whatever reason.
well, you know,
that's
math
white
is
people.
not
That's
consistent.
white people math right there, Whinis. We can't
No.
have that on this podcast.
No. This was a black guy. I forget who it is. It's some celebrity who went to college and was getting a degree in physics and then dropped out, arguing with their professor that there is no way 1 plus 1 equals 2 because there has to be something that it squared equals 2. And
What the fuck?
yeah. So they didn't end up getting their degree. They dropped out, and they have this whole published thing, obviously not peer reviewed, but this whole published thing on, how somehow 1 plus 1 doesn't equal 2 for who knows.
Yeah.
Because the white man's fault.
Because he couldn't realize that
Yeah.
irrational numbers are a thing. Okay. Yeah, I mean,
So-
barring that, it's people are crazy
Regarding
out there.
maths, math is not a science. You know that.
Math is the purest of sciences.
I would argue
Okay.
that math, like, so, like, what is our definition of science? What is our definition of science here, right? Like,
Okay. So, science as objective. So, okay, I can agree that math can be objective. But remember, math started as a form of gnosis. Like, people went crazy and mad and killed each other over math in Greece. Like, Pythagoras' alumni. They were called mad. but they just discover irrationals. But like when something is so self-evident as maths, because that's what I think is objective. It's something that is self-evident. And what is not self-evident other than a form of gnosis? Like it's something you know because you know. It's self-evident to you, right? So even maths that you think is so objective and pure and true, you know about Gödel's incompleteness theorem.
Well,
Yeah.
So hold on. They're Okay, so incompleteness theorem aside, that's another topic, whole can of worms.
We have to open it sometime though.
I don't want to open that. But the idea that like these people in ancient Greece were killing each other over their definitions of math. Well, that's because like they were so they're combining it with like their personal. Like they have to be right at all costs, right? So these people
Sure.
are attaching their own personal beliefs, but like we can easily separate math from the beliefs. Like we can look at math and say, okay, this is objective. Like addition, subtract, the axioms.
So, all right, we define math as objective because it is not something that we invent. It is a description of things that happen. 1 + 1 = 2 because if you take two separate things, you now have a couple of them. You now have two of them.
Okay,
It is a
but then
description of what is actually happening.
You're still falling for the abstraction of things. Things
Math
are
is the
ideas
ultimate
in your
abstraction.
mind.
It is an
Yeah.
abstraction that we can use to talk about things.
Okay.
That is the reason it is objective. That was what we got to earlier.
Okay, but
Things
for
can
something
be
to be
objective
objective,
because they're abstracted.
okay, but abstracted where?
It's abstracted from their physical meanings.
Through what? In a brain, in a head, in a mind.
Sure, but if you're gonna go, that down the route of philosophy, then nothing is real and everything is fake.
Well,
or
I mean,
everything is real and nothing is fake.
you're talking
Sure,
to Gady here.
I don't disagree with
he
that.
actually believes that kind of thing.
That's the point. Is like you reduce to absurdum.
Yeah. Okay, so I take things seriously, but I don't take them literally. I don't think the world is physical. I mean, it can be, because like a bullet hits my head, I'm dead. That's physical. But like the actual deep rabbit hole down under is not physical. It has that kind of nature. It's like it's not self-consistent, just like math isn't. It's a trick.
What isn't self-consistent?
Like, let me put it this way. Like, let's say maths can describe the world perfectly, or let's say the world emerges out of maths. But what if maths, thanks to the incompleteness theorem, has truths that are not provable by your set of axiom, right? Then reality itself may not be provable at all.
Well, nobody's questioned whether reality is provable or not. While there is a quest for a universal truth, a universal equation to describe everything, it's
that's
not
what I don't
something that
believe
is likely realizable.
Yeah.
And while it's certainly sought after, that doesn't make reality any less real just because it doesn't exist.
Okay, yeah, I agree, but it's still like, why bother then, right?
Man,
Because it is getting closer. It is getting us closer to something. That's what I'm fascinated by.
I don't know how
like,
I left.
what is it that is getting
I
closer to us?
legitimately stood up and went to the door. It's not even like a 10-second walk. I stood up, went to the door. We're talking about like whatever, and then I come back to this.
Yeah. But okay, the original question was how society should stop fearing death. We should stop fearing death. But the story that I wanted to plug is how they celebrate something like Halloween in Sicily.
Should we stop fearing death, though? I think death is a very good motivator.
Not fearing, not fear, but respect. Because we shouldn't be deathly afraid of it. I want to tell you about something. So, I live in Rome. So a few days ago, like a week ago, I went to the non-Catholic cemetery.
Hmm.
So Rome is major Catholic.
I mean,
Catholicism
yeah,
is like the main thing here.
it's right next to
Obviously, it's
right next to
Rome.
the Vatican. Yeah.
So Rome is a big city. There's always been foreigners here, especially from other places in Europe.
Yeah.
And those places in Europe weren't Catholic. They
Yeah.
were like Protestants
They're
and some other.
gypsies and.
So, yep. Anyway, when the Tudors came to Rome, they wanted a place to bury their dead. They felt like they had a right to it. So the Pope gave them a square of like a piece of land here in Rome, where they could bury their dead. So over time it grew, and they started bringing in poets and people that didn't identify as Christian or Catholic. So the thing is, the Italian vision of a cemetery is a gloomy, dark thing. Like you go to a cemetery to cry over your dead. You go there to mourn, right?
I go
It's
to a
heavy.
cemetery to salute the boss for Metal Gear Solid, but continue.
But like it's such a different view here. It's like something you it's so heavy on your soul when you go and do it. Like mourn someone. But then I go and see this cemetery where's this benches. We don't have benches in cemeteries here in Italy.
Hmm.
This cemetery is like inviting you to come and sit and contemplate the nature of whatever, or like the history of the people down under the ground, and like that's respect. That's not fear. People don't go to cemetery for fear.
But
But this is like a vision you guys are probably familiar with, because you're not Catholics, I think.
I'm not Catholic,
But
no, but
yeah,
Yeah, I'm not either.
I think that's just more of like a cultural thing, even because like I
Yeah.
think Catholic, like in America, Catholics don't have that type of cemetery. It would
Yeah.
just be the same.
No, and
cemetery.
like most of the cemeteries I've been to has some form of benches or anything, but it's still like a very somber area.
Yeah.
You are going to see the dead.
But
And typically if you're in a cemetery, I mean, you're spiritual in some way, so you're thinking you might be able to talk to the dead basically through their body.
I was going to say though,
Maybe.
with the way you phrase it, like should society continue to fear death, and I think it's like I was saying it's a great motivator, right? Like
Sure.
the fear of death is what causes us to have a lot of our medical advancements. Like the like if you just boil it down to the most base of points, like the reason we continue to work on medical technology is because people fear death and people want to live longer as a result, and that's
Sure.
just kind of like the medical field in a nutshell. People die.
Yep.
We don't want to die, so we're going to try and stop it as best as we can. That's what it is, and like as a result, a lot of other technologies and such like continue to advance as
Sure.
a result of like that fear of death. And I
But,
think
okay.
it's a necessary thing to have the fear of death. By the way, Gady, if you could DJ us some songs in the background,
Sure.
it would be great. But go on, as you were saying.
So it's not fear that we should have. We should have respect. Like we don't want it. I'm not saying we should want death, because I don't think anyone wants death. But the point is, like the dead, we shouldn't fear. It's like
What about
we should
what about
think
the
about.
immortal lizard people in charge of the government? Like, do they want death? Is that why they're making 2020 so shit?
I think it just got out of hand. They're like, "Fuck, what do we do now? What do we do now?"
Oh, so I was going to talk about Halloween though, okay? Because you
Yep.
had the Catholics thing, and I think it's appropriate to talk about what originally was a Catholic holiday, All Hallows Eve. Let's talk about that.
Yep.
What have you guys been doing for Halloween, if anything? I mean, other than being on this podcast, because that's totally what you want to be doing, like on this night, right?
So, I had just got pinged by someone,
D1.
and yes, by D1, and I had just gotten back from D&D that started at 10 a.m. this morning.
Oh, damn! That
Oh,
must have
wow.
been a very long session.
We have typically like 8-hour sessions.
Damn. How often do you do it though?
Every weekend,
Every weekend?
every Saturday.
That is one hell of a surrogate activity, as Ted Kaczynski would say.
And it's this particular campaign has been interesting because we're up to 7 people, and out of the 7 people, only 2 of us are the original party.
Damn.
Wow.
We've had some turnover.
Okay. Just because like
Um,
people couldn't continue to commit, or people had other things coming up, and or fallouts and stuff like that, right?
Fallout due to COVID in part. Like
Okay,
it
I see.
it has brought out the worst in people.
Okay.
And fights have happened, and it's attached to a larger group, and people have left the larger group, and then yeah.
Okay.
And then after this, I might be streaming with some friends.
Streaming what in particular? Just
Phasmophobia.
Phasmophobia. Oh man, that's kind of like the Twitch game of the month, right? I think.
Oh yes, very much so. And they recently took out some of the best parts of the game,
Oh, I.
which was mods that allowed you to have more than 4 players in a lobby at once.
Okay, well that's kind of upsetting, right? You know, it's always fun with more friends, I would imagine, but ooh. Okay, well, Phasmophobia. How is that, by the way? I haven't picked it up myself, so.
It is not nearly as scary as you might think. Scares do happen, but it is Ghost Hunters the video game.
Ghost Hunters, a video game, yeah. That's kind of the vibe I've gotten from the game, from what I've seen regarding it. Do you play it? I know you can play it like mouse keyboard, but is there a VR option? And if so, do you do the VR option?
There is a VR option. I do not have a VR headset, so I do not do the VR option. I play mouse and keyboard, and it's interesting.
Fair enough. Gady, any thonks on that? Have you played Phasmophobia? I'm guessing
No,
not, since you're.
I've seen a few people play. Uh, I'm starting not to like games anymore.
I know that.
I don't know what's going
I know
on.
that
It's
feeling.
like, okay, I've lived my teen years thinking, oh, I want to play games all my life, and like, I said that thinking that I wouldn't want to play the game of society, right? But I've kind of come to accept that maybe society is a little bit more important. That maybe working for my future is more important than games. And I stopped enjoying them. It's like every time I open something, I just get the urge to close it and do something else. I don't know.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean, it's a thing about what the Romans call otium, just not doing anything productive that I'm having trouble with in general. Because even movies or series I can't watch. Everything has to be productive.
As I mentioned before, you know, surrogate activities. Sometimes you come to the realization that surrogate activities are just that, surrogate activities.
Yeah.
The end is to like get entertainment. There is no like other
Yeah.
end. But I mean, it's kind of like a product, like good old Ted K said, like it's a product of our society. We don't have to like hunt, gather, kill things.
Well, you guys know about the mouse utopia, right? The mouse utopia experiment.
Yeah, the one conducted at NIM. Where
do you guys ever feel like you're in it?
No.
I get like the weird feeling that.
Listen, all right. If
maybe
I'm in
we
the middle
could
of that utopia, somebody has screwed up because I have been single my entire life, and like I have been relegated to somebody who just doesn't care.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah, like I'm gonna agree, but not on that point. Like if the mouse utopia is the thing that I am in, I it's not a very good utopia. Not going to lie. Whoever's doing
but that's
whoever's
the point.
doing this experiment on rats is kind of fucking up.
Yeah, but that's the point of the experiment. There can't be no mouse utopia.
Yeah, it collapsed
everything
on itself.
comes down and like, yeah. But I'm saying this more as like the archetype of people that I see around. Like they're not judging them negatively. I'm not. But like their hobbies, the way they spend their time, I do feel a little bit like it's a consequence of our society. Because really, like we're not fighting for anything. We're not struggling as a species against anything.
The
Like
species
what
is
do
not
we do with
struggling,
our time?
individual people
Yeah,
can
yeah,
be. And the
sure,
things people are struggling with may not always be the most obvious.
sure.
I
But the point is, it's like we're seeking escape. We seek escape from it.
I'm just going to say, Gady, I don't know about you, like if you play video games with anybody, but they're a whole lot more fun with friends. So
Yes.
that might be the thing that you want to like look at. Maybe
No, like I played several hundreds hours of TF2 with friends, and like I know, but
video
like
game burnout, man, happens to the best of us. Like I
it's not burnout. It's not. It's different because burnout is just me getting upset at the game and just
no
not
no no
playing
no
it.
no no that's not burnout.
I'm not getting upset.
No,
No,
it's
no, it's
not.
not burnout.
That's not burnout. Like
Okay,
burnout is
okay.
like so. I'm experiencing right now what I would say escape from Tarkov burnout. I've played that game past
But you
month
switch
and
to some other game.
I haven't really switched to any particular game. Like I kind of like bounce back and forth between a couple of games, but it's just kind of like I don't feel like playing video games right now. Maybe in a couple months I'll play something else. It's
Well, I've been taking a lot of acid, and I think it's probably that. Like I've conditioned myself against like
oh no, he's experiencing ego
yeah my
death.
old habits.
He's
No, no.
he's
Well, not
experiencing ego
now.
death. Put a blanket around
But
him, quick.
seriously, like thinking critically about the way I spend my time has been like crazy. Cause yeah, I don't know.
I
It's
did
made
that
me
for a
feel
bit,
guilty about it.
and then I stopped because, like, why does it matter if all of my time isn't productive? My God,
No, no,
if
no,
there's
no. I agree.
anybody on this planet who spends 100% of their time being productive, I'm not sure I want to meet them. I mean,
I've
we
met
as a species
I've met a couple people
waste.
like that, and I don't want to beat them.
Well,
Like
no,
No,
no, you
I,
haven't, because they still sleep. So we have 6 to 8 hours of a day every single day where we literally have no production.
yep,
yeah, yep.
it's like I mean,
Yeah,
if
those
you want to
people
be
would
productive,
rather not sleep.
if you want to be productive, like every waking moment of your life, like I mean, go ahead and be productive like that. But I
Yeah.
don't know what the end state is for that because like all you're doing is
Insanity.
yeah, all you're doing is advancing the goals of probably not yourself, probably somebody else, and like what really is
No, 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 no.
productivity?
But see, I'm not employed. I'm not in employment. All I'm doing is studying and
Neat.
learning and making music. Well, sure, but I'll be in
So,
education soon, so that's nice.
yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, though, like, it's been proven study after study that you can't actually force someone to be productive 100% of the time, even if they
No, no,
want
no. I
to.
agree. Okay.
You have more productivity if it's interspersed with times of non-productivity, um, almost because it gives the brain time to rest and reflect on what's happened,
Sure.
or something similar. So that's sort of what I use both video games and some of my other hobbies for, is like D&D.
Yeah.
Literally, let me
Yeah.
get my brain off of the things that it's already been chewing on all week.
And I think it's just kind of like Gaddy, all you're experiencing is like the switching out of like surrogate activities. Like you're just going to like find something else as a hobby to just that you consider more productive. Like it doesn't have to be video games. Like it could
Yeah,
be
but
it
that's
could
the
be your
thing,
work
right? Right.
that like you might
Yeah.
consider it productive in a different way or something, but like at the end of the day it's just like something that you've chosen as a hobby to swap
Yeah,
out
that I
video
do
games
for
with.
fun.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's just whatever you think is fun.
But
If like
I kind of feel bad about that because I fucking love video games. It's like
try a
I
new
don't
I mean,
know.
I
thing.
do
I
too, but
feel
I
like
still have
they're
periods
suddenly gone.
I go through where it's just straight up, I don't want to play anything right now. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I I have a backlog of over 1,000 video games. On top of that, I have every single PS2 game ever released in the United States. I have
Jesus Christ.
more than enough games to choose from, And it's
Yeah.
just like, I want to do something, but video games is not one of those things right now.
Okay, like people have done that with books. That's the same way with books for some people.
Oh, I have something on the order of 1,000 ebooks as well.
Yeah.
I wish I could do ebooks. I'm not a big fan of them. I just like the
Well,
tactile nature of like the physical medium. Yeah.
I do both. I do both. I don't know. Because sometimes I can't get a physical. Maybe I'm broke, so I'll just have to get the ebook. And if I'm motivated enough, I'll actually read it. I don't know. But yeah, maybe books are something I should be spending more time into. And I think I should recommend that to other people as well. Because, I mean, like the mindset that you put yourself in when you're reading a book is so different. Like, it's so good for you just as a relaxing thing, just like
Well, that's
not
the
being
thing.
in
Like,
like
I can't.
waking state.
I almost do ebooks out of necessity. I didn't exactly grow up
Yeah.
um, with a place to put books, so I didn't have books. So I got digital books. Now I have a place where I probably could put books somewhere if I felt like it. But like, I already have so many digital books. Why start buying real books?
That's a good point. But yeah, well, if there's gonna be a coronal mass ejection, you're probably not going to be able to read at all.
Yeah.
No, I certainly would be able to.
No, he's saying like if society collapses to the point where you can't read your ebooks, then like
Well, then I'm gonna have other issues to worry about.
yeah, exactly.
Like,
That's what he's saying. He's saying like, if you find yourself in the situation where you can't like access your ebooks, it doesn't matter if you have like physical books or not. Like,
No,
you
I
gotta
get it.
you
I'm
gotta
just
survive,
joking,
dude.
yeah,
Um,
gotta get ready for the
I mean, we'll see what
masses.
happens on the third. Like, stuff
Oh
might
yeah.
get crazy.
maybe. I don't think anything's going to get too ridiculous, but that's just
Who
me.
who do you guys think is going to win?
I don't care. I don't know. It's
Does it matter?
literally South Park,
No,
a
but
turd
it's
sandwich
like
versus a douche.
yeah,
All right, like there is
sure,
no winning choice.
yes, but
It,
still, which one do you think is going to win?
I have no idea. I do not have the data necessary in order to extrapolate that information.
if only I
Oh,
cared enough to look up the information and like look up the polls and all that stuff. But even then, polls are biased, and like whoever's right, like
yeah.
Gallup poll probably says. Let's see what Gallup poll says.
If only you really knew how things bad were.
Yeah, how
They're not nearly as bad as you think they are, but everyone else believes they are.
and
So
that
you
just
have
makes it
significant
worse.
problems.
It's a 4chan meme.
Yeah. If only you knew how bad things really were.
Yeah, yeah.
That picture. Hold on, I'll post it.
I love that meme.
Yeah, that's a great one. There's like just a bunch of them, but I think the original one was this one. I'm gonna post it in general. This is just D1 anytime he posts in politics stuff, right? But okay, so on the topic of books, one book that I picked up recently, and Gady, this might interest you. I don't know if this would interest you, Whinis, but it's a book called Imbibe, and basically in the 1800s there was this dude who essentially wrote the quintessential bartending like book in New York City. He wrote it, and it's just kind of like how to like mix drinks, like the art and science of it. Well, not really science. It's a really old book, so
Oh, there
like
can be.
I know there can be science behind it, and there's like the whole what's that field called? It's like gastro something.
Oh,
I don't know. Well,
molecular
specifically drinks is
culinary.
mixology.
Yeah, I know. Drinks is specifically mixology, but like molecular gastronomy, what
Yeah,
Daddy said,
yeah.
people apply that into the making of drinks, and like you can actually look up some pretty wild cocktails that do that. But that being said,
I think those things are
this-
kind of stupid. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
There's a little bit of truth behind it, like anything else, but I was just going to say this book well predates any of that stuff. It's from the 1800s, so like
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
the science of mixology had not been fine tuned into the craft that it is today. It was just kind of like chuck shit into a cocktail mixer and see what happens, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But the book is called Imbibe, and basically what happened was this guy wrote that book in the 1800s, and it's kind of sat around gathering dust, and then a dude picked it up in the 2010s, picked it up and then like went through it through the book chapter by chapter, wrote down his notes and published that, and then added a couple of chapters on his own. It's a very good book. And it's like one of the big books to kind of like recommend when you're first getting into mixology. So I picked that up and haven't really gotten around to reading it, but maybe I should. I don't know. I just don't have a big enough liquor cabinet right now. It's mostly whiskey. But that's kind of like the mixology stuff. I don't know. Gady, are you kind of interested in that at all? Whinis, either?
Well, I was going to bartender. I was planning to go to bartender school, but
Why go
life
to
got in the way.
bartender school? Like, just learn how to make the cocktails on your own.
Because I don't have the money to buy the booze, and it was cheaper to just go to bartender school
You
and
can
learn.
you can do a lot of stuff with some cheap spirits.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, ask.
Sure, but I don't know.
Ask me. I am very much a graduate student, so I have no money, and my spirit of choice is Skull vodka, which comes $7 buy one get one free, so it's about $3.50 per handle.
Damn.
Hmm.
And it tastes terrible, so you have to mix it with stuff to cover it up.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't know about that one, Chief, but I will say like you can always go to like Astor Wines, ASTOR, and just kind of like look up spirits and kind of like make your pick. They have like a great selection. I don't know if they ship international though, so maybe they do. I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of like Gaddy. What I saw this video by How to Drink though. They kind of like introduce like the concept of building your own kind of like personal bar. The first step is to just kind of like choose a liquor, just any type of liquor. Just choose one, preferably one that you can make a lot of cocktails with. So your three liquors you're looking at for that would be gin, whiskey, or rum. Those are your kind of like your three big ones. If you're looking
what
into...
about triple sec?
So triple sec is more of one of those kind of like in between liquors that you mix. Like you cannot make a drink solely with triple sec. You have to like look at other liquors to mix with triple sec to make a drink. Like if you're looking at a Long Island iced tea, it's going to require you to have vodka, tequila, rum, and then triple sec. Like the triple sec is kind of like the afterthought because it's like it's a spirit for sure, but it's a mixer type spirit. Whereas like your base spirits would be like whiskeys, rums, and gins, because those are things like you. If I wanted to make a drink right now with like just a handle of whiskey, you're looking at like, okay, I throw in some syrup, I throw in an orange peel, and then I throw in a couple cherries, and bam, I have an old fashioned. Like that's the reason you want to choose one of those spirits, is because like you're looking at like that spirit alone can hold up the drink. Triple sec alone can't hold up the drink, if you get what I'm saying, right?
Sure.
So build your liquor cabinet around the idea of like, okay, choose a drink or choose a spirit, build on that first, and then expand outwards, and then you start looking at other spirits. But once you've chosen a spirit, like start working with that, see what you can make with that spirit, and then you can look at like, okay, well now that I've done a lot of whiskey stuff, rum is kind of like maybe another spirit that I might want to like investigate a little bit more, and I might want to make some
Yeah.
tropical drinks with that, right? And
Rum
then
is great. I love it.
and then eventually, like once you've done that enough, you're going to find that your liquor cabinet has everything in it, and you can make any drink off the top of your head, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of like the idea you get behind as far as that's concerned. Yeah.
See, I like sours, so typically I'll mix vodka or tequila with some sugar and lime or lemon or something, and I have myself a drink.
Yeah. I would recommend start looking at making syrups. Syrups are very easy to make, and they mix much better with alcohol than with sugar because they're already in liquid form. So what you do is you take 2 parts sugar, 1 part water, and then just start boiling it. And then once the sugar is fully dissolved, put it into like a vinegar bottle or something, and then you have yourself a syrup pourer that you can just like pour into your drink. Much more efficient than having to like wait for the sugar to dissolve. Just trust me on this one.
No, that makes sense. You also use sugars in like pastries or making meringues.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, it's just so much easier to work with the liquid than with the powder.
Yeah. But yeah, the art of mixology is kind of like it kind of enraptured me a couple months ago, so I got really into it. Started making stuff like old fashions is my kind of go-to drink. It's very simple to make. Old fashions, and then I got into what is it called? It's gin with soda water and lime juice. I can't remember what the name of it is though. Fuck me. Nope, can't remember off the top of my head. And then Moscow Mules. Those were just kind of like the 3 drinks I started making. Whinis just like lighted up at the mention of Moscow Mules, I think, right? You
Basically, I mentioned Moscow Mules. I mentioned, vodka and other stuff. So
yeah. Oh man, Moscow Mules are great, and then I got the copper mugs to go with them. It's beautiful, 100%, amazing. What's your go-to drink, Gady?
Wine.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Go-to mixed drink. Go-to mixed drink, like with hard liquor in it, not undistilled fruit juice.
Well, it's kind of gross, but it's Fernet and Coca. It's like Fernet Branca and Coca-Cola. That's it. It's an Argentinian drink, but it has Italian influence.
Very similar to a Cuba Libre or a.
Yeah, but it's bitter and it's herby. It's balsamic because it's Fernet. It's not rum.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the Fernet froths up with the Coke, so it's like frothy. That's what it is. Like it's so nice. I don't know. And there's like a Fernet called Fernet Menta, Branca Menta, which is minty Fernet. So it's so weird. It's like a syrup with booze in it and Coke.
Fernet Branca.
I love it.
I might have to get myself a bottle of that. It's about $35. It looks like that'll be nice.
Oh, that's very expensive. Like,
well, I mean,
okay,
it's Italy,
there's only 2 factories. It's made in Italy and Argentina. That's it.
Like
but like Argentina. What?
I'm basically paying for the shipping costs with that, right? So that's a full handle. It's not the most expensive liquor I've bought. I'd say Suntory Hibiki would like that's. Actually, no, I take that back. I bought a 18-year-old bottle of Scotch a couple months ago, so that was the most expensive bottle of liquor I bought. But
yeah, like more of a general drink that I like is any with like Aperol or Cinzano and any form of vermouth.
Oh, vermouth.
I don't know. I just like
got it.
Yeah, I just like Italian type drinks. I don't know.
Italian nationalist over here. Watch out, we got a Mussolini on the way.
I don't know. It's just what I'm used to. It's just what I like.
You said you never had a whiskey before, and that's a shame because whiskey is so versatile.
See, I don't even like whiskey.
I've had good rum though.
Okay.
It's not the same, but
Was it a spiced
it's not
rum?
that far
I'm
off.
looking down on you if it was a spiced rum.
No,
Okay, good.
it's a Pampero, a Venezuelan rum. It's
Venezuelan
like
rum. Okay.
actually really nice.
Pompero. I gotta look this up.
Yep.
Um, I could not find it, but whatever. That's no big deal. Yeah. Spice. I was going to say though, spiced rums are like they're not good because like why let someone else spice your rums for you? Like you have no control in your like the way your liquor tastes, right? Like
Yeah,
if you
I think the same way about curries or like masalas.
yeah,
I'd
exactly.
rather just do them myself.
Yeah, it's like people don't want to put in the effort to spice their own drinks, but if they did, it would taste a lot better to them, right? Like Captain
Yeah,
Morgan
yeah,
spiced rum, it's like so basic, right? It's just like pre-spiced, so like you know what you're getting with it. Yeah, that's cool and all, but like how much effort is it to like take a little bit of nutmeg, grind it up, and then take a little bit of cinnamon sticks and grind those up, and then just like put that in, put a dash of each into your drink. Like, not that
yep,
hard. But people don't want to do it because they just want to buy Captain Morgans and get wasted, right? It's
yep. Oh, I get you.
You don't like
It's
whiskey though, Winnis?
No, I am not super picky. I will drink basically anything at this point, and it's for two reasons. One, I'm poor, and two, my alcohol tolerance is through the roof, and it's been that way my whole life. It's not like I got here being an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my first drinking experience was in Iceland, and me drinking some Icelanders under the table. So
Eh.
what the
I
hell?
that was a rough fan fest. All right, I remember most of it.
I'm just going to say, if your tolerance is that high, you might as well just like learn to start enjoying the drinks for like their flavor rather than like their
Right.
alcohol content. So like that would, if anything, that would make you more of a fan of whiskey because then you can start like differentiating the tastes between.
But I don't like the bitterness as much. Like,
Look. Whiskey is okay. There's a billion different types of whiskeys, and not all of them, like almost none of them, taste the same, right? You're talking about like your bourbons, your scotches, your Irish, your straights, rye. Like there's corn whiskey. If you want like something that isn't bitter at all, like look for like a good corn whiskey. Generally, those are very sweet because corn is, it's got a
yeah.
very high sugar content. So they're not going to be bitter at all. Like if you're talking about bitterness, what would
Well, me and my friend are going through a few of them. He is very much a whiskey fan. So as we hang out more over the coming weeks, he says he's going to be letting me sample some more. I had one of his pre-mixed old fashions, and like once I started to get a slight intoxication, I liked the flavors a bit more. But like, it was so bitter.
you might be confusing like no, probably not because you say you're fine with the alcohol. I was just going to say like
Yeah.
the thing about whiskey is like the initial burn. You have to get past that, let it sit on your tongue, aerate your mouth a little bit, get your Jacobson's organ like properly aerated, and then you'll like start to taste the whiskey for what it is. And also like a good chunk of the tasting of whiskey comes from the smelling of it beforehand, right? So like
Right.
you want to get like that nose. Don't smell the like if you have a glass, right, and you swirl it around. You don't want to smell the bottom of the glass like as you're holding it up to your nose. The bottom is where the alcohols like start to like the alcohol vapor condenses down towards the bottom. So you're going to get all the acrid smell from that. But towards the top of the glass is where you're going to get your tasting notes. You're going to get your like your sweets and your like the maybe it's got like buttery caramely tasting notes, and so that's where you want to smell. Get it like past your Jacobson's organ in like the base of your or not base of like where your nose meets your like your nasal cavity meets your mouth. That area you want to like aerate that and kind of like breathe that in, and then you start to get like the smell in. And once you get the smell, like the tasting of the whiskey becomes like a whole lot easier. You start to like actually get the tastes of it down, right? I'm not terribly
Yeah.
great on this, but that's kind of like the idea of it. Uh, my alcohol constitution is not very great, but whatever. That's the curse you get when you're a little bit Asian by blood. But anyways, enough about mixology. Let's talk about you mentioned D&D earlier, and I want to ask, have you ever played Call of Cthulhu? Because a friend of mine mentioned that earlier, and I kind of get the game, but like I haven't ever played it. I haven't played D&D for that matter. Gady, have you?
Just 2 times and never came out anything out of it.
Okay, that's a
So I
shame.
haven't. I have not played Call of Cthulhu proper.
Okay,
I have. I played recently the board game
okay,
Betrayal at Baldur's Gate, and we had the Cthulhu version.
okay.
So that was interesting, and I've of course read the pop culture of the Henderson scale.
Ah, yes, Old Man Henderson. That's what I was going to actually get into. um,
Um, yes, and in fact, in my current D&D, one of my current D&D campaigns, I'm in 3 of them right now. We just pulled above a 1 on the Henderson scale.
above a one.
So
Ooh.
above a 1, and
Wait. How many Hendersons are we talking? Are we talking about like 1.5, 1.2,
1.25. Like
1.25?
we
Okay.
ruined a very significant storyline prospect, and we made our DM cry.
Oh wow.
And
Well,
apparently,
it's not your fault. You have a weak DM.
oh god, no. This was the joke in that campaign is that we are the best, are the worst at doing good. We have consistently made the wrong choices on every single thing that has happened.
Amazing, beautiful. Gaddy, if you're not familiar, the Henderson scale is like a way to measure how like much somebody has fucked up a plot line in a tabletop RPG. Okay, so
Oh
like
wow.
so it comes from this story about a Call of Cthulhu game where a dude played as a character named Old Man Henderson, and the idea behind it was the DM kept railroading
Well,
the
all right, before that, he had specifically made this character.
well
Very specifically.
I was going to context that in like the GM kept railroading their characters, right? And he ended up killing off like 2 other characters that this guy had made, and so he just said, "Fuck it, I'm doing it." And then he proceeded to lock himself in his room for like 2 weeks straight and wrote down like a 400-page backstory for this character that basically gave him leeway to do whatever the fuck he wanted in the GM sessions or the sessions for their game of Call of Cthulhu, and like it covers everything from the fact that Old Man Henderson was what's it called, a Vietnam War veteran, to
but not
to the fact that he like was a professional figure skater for Canada at one point in time.
Wow.
And then what else was?
Well, let me just read his quick backstory, right? He was a little crazy and blamed his life's misfortunes on Vietnam. But he never went to Vietnam. He was 12 in 74. And it says, I'll be amazed if anyone gets that reference. He wore combat boots, cargo shorts, and an open front Hawaii shirt with a wife beater underneath. He was dyslexic and had a lesser case of schizophrenia, allowing him to assume that the reason he saw crazy stuff was because he was in fact crazy. He had a Grizzly Adams beard, wore his hair in a mohawk. He never took off his aviator shades for any reason. He had a stuffed parrot on his shoulder named Rupert that he constantly asked for advice while ignoring the other party members as convenient, assuming they were hallucinations. He had an automatic combat shotgun. He had also memorized the Anarchist Cookbook and he started the game with a pre-existing hatred of religion, cutlery, and books. His motivation is because he thought that the cult had stole his lawn gnomes, and while he had actually donated them to charity auction, got high and forgot about it.
Yep. Old Man Henderson is a great time. There's a narration of it, I think, on SoundCloud that I might link you after this, Gady. But basically, the guy derailed the entirety of their sessions because of like the existence of his character. His character basically gave him leeway to do whatever the hell he wanted, as I mentioned before, and it boils down like there's a plot line where they crash a yacht into a tower because fuck it, he's a rated helicopter pilot for some reason.
Now, once again, the long backstory was important for 3 reasons. 1, ensure the GM would never actually read the 400-page backstory.
Yeah, that was the backstory was made so that the GM would never read it, but if he did read it, like specifically on the parts where he like mentioned that, he'd have justification to do whatever the hell he wanted.
Not only that, but he said also specifically, since he would never read it, only excerpts, he could rewrite and change anything in the backstory completely at random without anyone noticing.
Okay, that's scummy. I don't like that.
No.
And
it's fine. The GM was scummy, so it all works out.
And number 3, convince everyone that I was actually serious about this character, and it wasn't simply game-wrecking bullshit that it was.
It was game-wrecking bullshit, but he was serious
about it. Why was
about
he
it.
doing it?
Because
Why was he
the
doing it?
GM was railroading everybody and killing
I'd
off
like
their
to start by
characters.
saying the GM was a bastard that had it coming, bullshit tactics to make everyone go crazy, like a D6 that only had 5 sides,
Okay, what
never
the
mentioning
fuck?
the story, no reasons, instantly lose 10 sanity, and they were playing in a modern day setting and trying to find stray pages of the Necronomicon. And so the other players was a college professor who was looking for the Necronomicon, a detective who was investigating a missing person's case connected to the local cult, and a local athlete for football or something, trying to find out why some of his friends seem so distant lately.
But
And there's a whole list of all the shit that went through here, and all the other characters died, but never Old Man Henderson. Oh God, never Old Man Henderson.
He didn't die until the very end, and when he died, he killed an old one. So, sorry if I spoiled that for you, Gady, but like,
Nah, you're fine.
I mean, it's not really much of a spoiler. Like that's the reason the Henderson scale exists, is because like, basically it's game wrecking bullshit, right? It's a scale of like how much how ruined is the game that we're currently in, right? And one Henderson correlates to the game has been ruined. Like 2 Hendersons.
Well, no, not quite. A full Henderson is that the entire plot has been derailed, but not necessarily the game is ruined.
Oh yes, okay. That's right. So 1 full Henderson has effectively caused one or total plot derailment. You're right. Yes, it's about derailing the plot. 2 Hendersons would be like just fucking it up to the point where like you can't really come back from it, right?
Like the DM has to retcon everything.
Yeah.
There's no choice in the matter. Like you've killed off some major god that's actually important for any plot that the DM might have to do. So everything has to be retconned.
Like basically, if you I don't know about D&D rules, but like if you manage to just like kill all of the gods, destroy the universe, and cause it to collapse in on itself, like at that point, like you can't do anything without just saying fuck it, we're doing it again from the top. Just start over.
Like, that sounds boring for some reason.
Well, that's the point. Is like you've kind of ruined the game with what you've done, and there's minor levels like you've ruined the current like quest or something. And I'm not gonna lie, right now in so I have 2 major campaigns going on right now. I have a third one that's less major, and I have one. This is their first game they've ever DM'd.
Yeah.
And the other one has DM'd for the past 15 years.
Damn,
Okay.
he's permanently on the DM bench. Oof.
And the one that has DM'd for that long is one of the most fun to play with.
Well, I mean, after a certain point, like, I'm assuming that he's DM'd that long because he wants to, and not because you permanently benched him as the DM. Like,
Right. Well, and it's like I'm new. He literally invited all of us into this thing. He's like, "Hey, I'm starting up a new campaign. Do you want to be in it?" So like, yeah. He very much likes to DM specifically because he likes screwing with the players. Um, it's fairly homebrew. We're currently playing Pathfinder in his, and he has some esoteric rules on things that makes some things more annoying. But like, one of the things is he doesn't railroad us. Our current campaign is a little bit railroaded. We just had 3 new players join, and because of that, he kind of took us off of our last quest and like had us all teleport through some BS to another area with a new problem, and we're trying to figure out what the heck is going on next. We apparently somewhat Hendersoned his stuff though because of the very first session. So this is what I like about him. He rolls for encounters, but being that we were all level 1, he rolled what should have been a level 5 encounter for a bunch of level 1 characters.
mm-hmm. Which is pretty. It's not going to be a good time.
Right, and so this was our first session. Most of the people's times first playing Dungeons and Dragons ever. So he decided, all right, I can't make it a combat encounter. I'll make it a diplomacy encounter. So he invented some high level, NPC in the game just to talk to us. And because it was a new NPC that he'd never used, it was vague on everything. And because it was vague on everything, we were suspicious about everything. It's like, who's your boss? I can't tell you that. Okay, what do you want us to do? I can't tell you that. Okay. Why are you talking to us? I can't tell you that.
What can you tell us?
Right? It's like I can tell you that I will be willing to meet with you in 2 days time. Okay, and I'm going to be here. All right. We'll think about it.
Basically, he's just making this stuff up on the fly, and you could tell he's making it up because, like, he's just like, God, fuck, level 5 combat encounter. I can't do that to them, so diplomacy encounter. Okay, I gotta come up with someone on the spot. This dude who's really vague and gives you cryptic answers about everything.
Right.
Yeah.
I
got you.
But he saw how we reacted to it, and so 2 sessions later, we had finally somewhat completed the task we were setting out to do, or we actually failed horribly at it. We were going to go back for a 3rd attempt, so we didn't come back empty-handed. We were still like level 1, and he rolled another high-level encounter and realized, well, this is going to ruin them. So he made someone who was the opposite of the original person and their enemy, but this time had more specifics. And specifically told us if we wanted their offer, we had to go now. So we all teleported to this person's homeland and Henderson the hell out of our first quest.
That sounds fun. I mean, I wish I could get into D&D. I don't really have the friend group for it right now, and COVID makes things tough, right? I guess it's possible to do it online, but I got bigger fish to fry right now. I wish I could do that, though. So, off topic. Anybody catch the new Mandalore video on Mystery of the Druids?
No.
Nope.
Or anybody here knows what Mystery of the Druids is?
Nope.
Nope.
Have you? Okay, hold on. Let me. God, people these days. Like, I only knew it prior to the video for the box art cover, which is interesting to say the least. Hold on a second. Let me just post that in general. I'm sure you've seen it in like on 4chan at some point, Gady. There you go, Mystery of the Druids, right there.
No, I've never seen it before.
Really? Not even
Yep.
not even the one where the guy says he had $89 worth of credit on his like university printing account, so he like printed 400 copies of Mystery of the Druids box art cover and just planted it around his friend's house. No, nothing like that.
No. I've read plenty of green text, but that's a new one for me.
Okay. Anyways, apparently Mystery of the Druids is about a sociopathic detective at Scotland Yard who... God damn. Name a bigger Chad than that guy. Hold on. Let me just pull up his backstory. Is there a bigger Chad in gaming than Halligan, the guy from Mystery of the Druids? He eats an estimated 60 large pizzas a month, 2 pizzas a day. Chain smokes a carton of cigarettes every week. That's 28 cigarettes every day. Still is fit as fuck, though, and can run forever without getting winded. Everybody hates him because he keeps borrowing their things and never giving them back and losing them and breaking them and all that. Unapologetically steals from anyone and everyone, drugs a homeless man for payphone fare, gives out his name because he doesn't give a fuck, lies to people constantly, ignores his elderly mother when she sends him a phone call, willingly consumes human flesh that he witnessed being harvested to become magical, gets the girl, tricks an ancient druid, stabs the shit out of the girl without telling her his plan, intentionally killing her to flex his druid healing magic, gets fired from his job because he was too busy getting shit done to actually get evidence or make an arrest, and leaves a wheelchair-bound man to die in a horrible fire instead of pushing him out.
Oh my god.
There's no bigger Chad in gaming history than Halligan. But no, Mystery of the Druids, very funny from what I could tell, and Mandalore made a video on it, and I'm interested in playing it, but I was just asking to see if any of you had played it before, because I want to know what I'm getting into with this shitty point-and-click adventure game. But since neither of you have played it, whatever.
I'll give it a try anyway. Let us know.
Yeah. I recommend watching the video on it, though. It's about an hour long. Mandalore's content is very good, just in general.
Hey, people. Seth here.
Yeah, I mean, Seth and Mandalore are, like,
The most based YouTubers on YouTube.
Yeah, really, they are. And now they play games with each other and collaborate.
Oh my god, that's great.
They collaborate with each other on some of their videos too. Like, what was it? Seth had what was it? I don't remember. Seth had a segment where he was playing video games with Mandalore, but I don't remember what game specifically it was. I could pull it up. And then Mandalore had a segment where he invited Seth to speak about the Drukhari on Warhammer 40k. No, not Warhammer 40k. Total War Warhammer. Total Warhammer? I don't know. Whinis, correct me on that one. Is it Total Warhammer or Total War Warhammer?
It's Warhammer 40k.
No, not Warhammer 40k. The Total War game for Warhammer Fantasy. Is it Total War Warhammer?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't play any of the Total War games.
Oh, that's a shame.
I
I hear they're really good.
I think
They
it's
may
Total
be.
War
It's not
Warhammer.
my style of game, but it looks like it's Total Warhammer. Total War Warhammer 40k.
There's
It's not 40K.
It's not 40k. It's fantasy.
It's just fantasy Warhammer. 40k is the space version, but Warhammer is like with the rats. What's her name? This Skaven, I think. Skaven, yeah. I love those guys.
Yeah, they want to kill you so that the way they can eat your flesh. I love how they like repeat their words constantly, and
yeah, it's like the revenge of the lab rat. I love it. I don't know, just the concept is just so cool.
Oh, I saw a meme. Hold on, I posted it in one of the other channels, but it's like a Skaven, just like, you know, the guy who's like, welp, I guess I'll just die, right?
Yeah.
It's just like that, but he's a Skaven, and he just says, welp, I guess I'll just die. I'll see if I can send it to you. You'll love it. Yeah, Warhammer. Do you play any Warhammer? Speaking of that, Whinis, because I have not played Warhammer. I have no idea what the game itself plays like. I imagine.
I have not, but it's kind of funny because people are now paying me to 3D print them Warhammer figurines because of how expensive they are.
I mean, it is plastic crack.
Beyond, like, you cannot even imagine. I was talking to my Warhammer friends last night, and there is some figurines that cost upwards of $2,000 brand new.
Oh yeah, I'm very familiar that Games Workshop is basically committing the ultimate form of extortion with their
And people buy them.
yeah, people buy it. People really
Yep.
do buy it. Well, let me see this.
Well, I know a guy that, well, he's old now, but back in the day when they're a bit more reasonable, he bought, like, when they're still made of metal as well, but they're just Warhammer, not 40K. He bought like so many figurines of, like, and he's still painting them like 20 years later. He just had so many because they were so cheap back in the day. I don't know, like, I really want to get into that kind of thing because I like the idea of painting figurines, but I don't even own my own house yet. I don't even have a place to store them in. I don't know. It's a cool hobby though, and I really respect it.
Eh, I don't know. It's like you say, it's a cool hobby. I don't think I'll ever get
Sure.
into it because like the price barrier is just like too much.
Yeah,
I
it's huge.
I can't justify spending hundreds of dollars on
Yeah, on plastic figurines. Yeah.
plastic figurines. I love these images the most though. Hold on. God damn it! I didn't. It's... There it goes again. There we go. Okay. Well, any other topics that you want to bring up, Gady? We've been going at this for about 2 hours now. We're at a 1 hour 45-minute mark, but just
I think we're good. We should wrap it up because I'm dead tired. Jesus Christ.
yeah.
What
I
a
mean,
day.
you're in Rome, so what is that? That's
It's 1 a.m.
yeah. That's about right because it's like 8 here, so it's about 5 hours ahead over there. Yeah.
Yep.
1 a.m. Damn. Well, I don't want to keep you tired, but Whinis, you have anything else that you want to mention?
I might. I'm waiting right now.
Waiting on what?
The possibility of streaming tonight. I'm waiting for someone to tell me.
Okay. Well, if neither of you have really anything else to mention, I mean, I guess we can just kind of call it here. I think we're at a pretty good stopping point, and there's no reason to like wait until a nice round number because we're at like 1 hour 46 minutes. But that being said, Whinis, it was very nice to have you on the Sandcast this weekend. Very spooky time that we're spooky time that we're having. And in fact, let me just do I want to outro it with the Goosebumps theme? I introed it with the Goosebumps theme. Nah, we'll just keep the ambient music that.
It's Brian Eno. Thank you very much. It's not just ambient music. It's the god of ambient music.
I mean, I suppose, but it's still ambient music.
Yeah. Yeah, you do have a point.
But I'll just leave it on. I will say it was fun talking to you. We do this every 2 weeks, so if you want to rejoin us for what would that be? The weekend of the 14th.
Yep.
14th?
14th of
If you want
November.
to join us on the weekend of the 14th on
I'll
Saturday,
have to see. My schedule changes day to day.
that's fine. Like, just I'll shoot you a message like 2 days in advance. Okay.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, Gucci. And
Okay.
then if either of you have anything else to say, like as a last little message to the Sandcast.
Stay in school, do drugs, be gay.
Okay, Whinis.
Yeah, doing drugs sounds nice.
Okay, I'm gonna say get out of school, don't do drugs, be straight. just be a counterpoint. Okay.
I'm in pharmacology. It's okay. Just do all the drugs.
Do all the drugs, man.
Yeah, even fentanyl. Oh God.
Okay,
Horror
just
stories
in
about
small doses, if you can dose it right, you can do it. Take the Shulgin approach to life, man.
Sure, we'll go with that. We'll go with that. Okay. Anyways, be safe out there and don't die. Okay. Thank you for watching.